Welcome back to Conversations with Jennifer. Jennifer is an estate planning attorney, and today we're going to talk about advanced healthcare directives, kind of what they are, what they do. And so let's start with that. Jennifer, so what is an advanced healthcare directive?
So, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Amar. Essentially, an advanced healthcare directive is a document where an individual can designate who's going to be making medical decisions for them. And they can also include some specific directions as far as organ donations, remains, extraordinary measures, and autopsy. So it's kind of a broad document where you appoint someone to do medical decisions for you, and then again you can include some healthcare wishes or provisions. It's a really important document because it helps you direct the person who's going to step into your shoes as far as what you want your medical decisions to be. It also helps you guide family members as far as your final wishes with respect to remains, organ donations, because keep in mind, oftentimes when family members or your agents are dealing in the moment with those sort of decisions, it's emotional. There it has just been a death, a loss of, a close family member. And so to have all of that in place, and your wishes are in a document and are directing the person, that can be really helpful and important for that person to make sure your wishes are also being fulfilled, but they don't have to put any guesswork into what your final wishes are and can just kind of follow your instructions.
Yeah, and guesswork is a lot of stress if you're that decision
Exactly.
maker.
Yeah, and again, it's an emotional time, and so again, I always counsel clients that it is really something amazing that you can put in place. I have some clients who say, "I'm just going to leave it up to the discretion of the agent," and I always point to the actual title of the document, which is an advanced healthcare directive. You're directing your agent as far as what you want to be done, and again, I think that can be kind of liberating and freeing for the agent to be like, okay, I am following mom's final wishes or dad's final wishes or my spouse's final wishes. And it kind of makes an already terribly difficult situation, I think, a little bit easier.
A little bit easier. So usually, I guess you're identifying one person, two person. How many people are involved in being a healthcare part of the
Yeah.
healthcare directive?
So that's a great question. With a lot of estate planning documents, when we're designating agents or fiduciaries to follow up with our wishes, I'm okay. I'm comfortable with having multiple or joint agents. There's some issues that we need to kind of work through, but for a healthcare directive, I rarely, if ever, go along with having multiple agents acting jointly to make your medical decisions. Medical providers tend to not like having to track down multiple people to get the final go ahead or direction. And I always explain to clients, keep in mind, this could be an emergency medical situation for you. And do you want multiple people to have to be tracked down before these medical procedures can proceed? We always meet with clients, Amar, and they want all of their kids involved. And what happens if they don't agree or you cannot, track one down or get a hold of one? So what I generally recommend to clients is list individuals in line of succession or in order. But what I will include in my documents sometimes is what's referenced as an advisory committee. So you list, let's say, one child or a third party, but you direct that agent to talk to either your other children or all of your children to get their advice and their wisdom and their recommendations before making major medical decisions. but the medical provider needs to only get the direction from the agent. So one person.
Yeah.
So everyone feels involved and included and is aware of the process, but it's not going to be slowing your medical procedure, your medical care in any way. So I will do that sometimes with clients as kind of a compromise so that everyone's involved.
Yeah, so oftentimes, like, you know, with financial stuff, we're typically what I've seen is you pick the eldest child,
Yep.
right? Here, like, the proximity could matter, right? Like if you have children on the
Correct.
opposite coast, or if you have somebody local, I mean,
Yep.
that could make a big impact, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I will say, as an estate planning attorney, I am also the oldest of 4 children. And when my mom recently went through this process, she listed me as the healthcare agent, as the primary one. And I said, I'm not the right person for this, Mom, for 2 reasons. One is I don't live as close to you as my sister does. And my sister's just better with these sort of decisions. And so I said, I realize you're deferring to me because I'm the oldest and I'm the estate planning attorney, but I don't think I'm the right primary medical agent for her. And so she did, she did take my advice on that and did switch it to my sister, who again, I think was the more appropriate person. So there's always that, that desire or thought, I have to go in this order. I think it's best to kind of figure out which out of the people who you're considering make the most sense. And yes, sometimes it's just who's boots on the ground, who's the closest to the person, who can get there the quickest, who has a more comfortable, thought process with medical issues. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you have a medical person or family member, and they may be better than the lawyer or financial advisor. So looking at all of the people and making the best decision you can on that, sometimes hard, but again, I agree with you, Amar. It's best to kind of look at who's the closest, who's the most available, who's the most comfortable with these sort of decisions.
Yeah, and the last one I would add there is like philosophy, right? Like if their
Yep.
philosophy is in line with yours, because like if you want somebody to pull the plug and you don't want the person that's going to do exhaust every single option before they get to that decision
Yes.
point themselves.
Exactly.
Right.
And again, that's why I tell clients why this document is so important, because it's not the person who you're designating as agent. It's not their beliefs or what their wishes are. It's what your wishes are. And you want the person who's going to fulfill those wishes, even if maybe they run counter to how they'd want to handle things personally. You want the person who's going to follow your directions and fulfill your final wishes on that.
Yeah, this was good. I really like this conversation. If you're out there listening to this and say, I already have a healthcare directive, just one couple things to keep in mind. If you have a healthcare directive that's older than 1992, I think there was a 7-year window for when those were good, and then they expired. If your healthcare directive is older than, let's say, 2000, some life support pieces in there have been changed. And then obviously 2004 we have HIPAA, right? So there's more language changes there. So even if you have a healthcare directive, you should please reach out to Jennifer and see if yours is up to date, and if you need to revamp or re-up your estate plan. I think there's no time like today. So thank you for watching. Please hit the like button. It helps other people find our content. Please, if you have questions or comments, please put them below. And thank you for watching.
Great. Thank you.